Well, hello, Renard. Happy Memorial Day weekend. How are you?
Same to you. I'm great. I'm great. How about yourself?
Good. I'm really, really good. I'm really, really glad to have this moment to chat with you a little bit about your experience and kind of what's going on with you, which is lengthy. There's a lot going on with you, so I want to cover all of those things. But first, I'd like for you to introduce yourself and your professional background.
Yeah, no problem. I'm Renard Henry. I am currently the IT leader at Toyota Connected. I have been in the technical space for over 25 years. Seems like forever, but it has been great. I've gotten a chance to work in multiple industries. I've worked in healthcare, finance, education. LSU was a medical school, and now I'm in tech automotive. So gotten a chance to be in tech in multiple different spaces now, which has given me a chance to adapt very easily to a lot of places I am now. But being in tech automotive is a great space. Been in it for 3 years now and have learned so much just being part of Toyota Connected. I was not an avid vehicle guy until I joined Toyota Connected, and now I drive a truck and I love every bit of it. And just knowing the people who put the technology into it, who build the vehicles, gives me a lot of pride to drive that truck. So if my fiance asks me to go somewhere, I'm more than happy to hop in that truck and go. So
That's
it's been great so far. So like I said, 25 years is seems like a long time, but 25 years moves fast. I've gotten to see a lot of technology over the years change, and now of course we're in the big space of AI now.
Yeah. I've been watching you on the various podcasts. It's really difficult to keep up with you because you keep getting asked to guest appear on people's podcasts. But one of the things I've learned about you, like you talked about medical, and that was the direction that you were going to go as a young adult, and then decided to shift gears and start and, jump into something else, which was really, really interesting. One thing you should know, you and I have in common. So I spent 10 years in Louisiana, but it
Okay.
was in the northeast part of the state. So yeah,
Okay, so you know about Louisiana and all the great food and all that. See, that's
I
something I did
do.
not know. I'm glad to know about that.
I do. I was in Monroe for 10 years.
Okay,
So
okay, yeah, you weren't that far from us. You weren't that far from us. So,
yeah,
yeah, the New Orleans native didn't move until Katrina. So when Katrina hit, that's when I moved to
yeah.
Dallas after that. So spent, of course, my entire life in New Orleans until then. But I was planning to move anyway. It's just I always tell
Okay.
people Katrina made me move a lot faster than
Yeah.
I thought I was. But I'm glad I moved. I'm glad I moved to Dallas where I am now and got the experience that I have now. So I always tell people I'm way different than I was in my 20s, a lot
Hmm.
different than I was in my 30s. So,
Hmm.
I always say the younger me probably would be shocked at who I am now.
Yeah, but isn't that what it should look like, really? The progression, as you get older, you should not be the
No.
person we should not be the person we were when we were 25. That is not nobody wants to stay stuck there. Okay, well, you told me a little bit about yourself. So here's some other things that I've learned. You were also a black belt in jujitsu.
Mhm.
You are part of the Black Leaders Worldwide. They named you as one of the 2025 Black Leaders to watch. I think I first saw you on one of your first guest appearances, Wisdom, Whiskey, and Wit with Starsky. So you were one of the guests on his podcast. And then I know also, I believe you are pursuing some advisory board seats. And so, I look at all this stuff about you and kind of like looking at your career, looking at your journey. And then one might wonder what would cause somebody who seems to be running at a pretty quick pace to join a community, to join a leadership community, a coaching community. You seem to be doing great. What caused you to reach out and obviously talk to Tom and join this community?
I think for me, and I know the story is for most of the people in the community, I moved up very fast in my career. I was always a high level IC and then eventually went into management and then leadership. But I never understood how to get to the next level. I didn't
Mm,
understand it. I always was taught how many of us were taught you work hard, someone will see you, and then you move up. But then understanding that that's not the case. Your work, yes, you need to work hard, but also there's other factors that involved in that. So, like most, I was talking to my fiance, and all of a sudden my phone heard me. and Tom popped up in my Instagram feed.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just out the blue. I was talking to her, my phone listened to me. Tom popped up. I watched a couple of his videos, and it
Yeah.
really spoke to me because I was like, man, I was like, okay, this is the unknown. This is another part of the journey that I did not know I needed in order
Mm.
to improve in my personal life as well as in my corporate life. So I wound up talking to Tom. Tom reached out to me on Instagram and talked to him for a minute. Of course, I'll be honest, I was skeptical
Of
because
course.
for every great community, there's 200 fake ones who are just trying to get money you're not
Yeah.
sure about. So talked to him for a little while, conversed with him, and sent him my resume as well. We talked about that for a little while, and he was like, I think you'd be great for our community. And of course, I
Yeah.
started doing my own research, wound up having an intro call and had the discussion. I was like, this is something I need to do. It was something that I did not know I needed until I talked to myself. Yes, I do need this in order to improve as a person who's a leader and to make it to that next step in my career.
Yeah. What's your general, I guess beforehand, had you done any coaching programs
No.
or so okay, so and did you have any particular opinion on coaching?
No, I've heard a lot of executives have told me, they've had executive coaches, etcetera, but I never thought that was something I needed until I got to a certain point and I needed to try something new. I needed to
Yeah.
try something that was uncomfortable and unknown to me,
Yeah.
and it was the best decision I ever made. Our community that we have and the people that are in it, it's each person is the right person who needs to be in the community. Everybody wants to help each other out. Everybody wants to see each other grow. And I love our Tuesday night calls. I honestly, if you ever notice, I'm almost on every single call I can possibly be on during the week as possible because I just want to absorb as much as possible and also improve myself. A lot of stuff that we take from the community and that we are on, I try to push that and pay that forward to the rest of my team. I'm like, if it wasn't for this community, it possibly there might not be a book club that I have now because it's something
Oh,
I didn't
really?
think. It was something I didn't think about. It was something I
Yeah.
did not think about at the time,
Yeah.
and this community has been great. You, Tom, Sandra, the list goes on of great people in our community, and I'm glad I made the decision.
Yeah, that's funny. You kind of read my mind because, I think I remember seeing you on one of the first calls and like anybody, you're kind of new in the room, right? So just kind of sit back and listen, but like really soon after you took off, you started to connect with people in the community. I feel, but then again, I'm very biased. I feel like the caliber of people that come into this community. And again, it is not everybody gets in, right? Are exceptional.
Yeah.
They're just exceptional, and you're 100% accurate, and there's so much, like, reaching across to each other. It's like, "Wait a second, you're looking for this," or you want information on, whatever subject it is, and people are, "Oh, yeah, no, I know somebody," or
Hmm.
I did that last month, let me just kinda show you how it's done." So, interesting. So, great quality caliber of people within the community, yourself included, for sure. It's difficult to keep up with you. It just I feel like you're moving so fast. You came in, maybe you were a fast mover already, but you're running at such a quick clip. Like was I looked at your LinkedIn profile today, yesterday, you got a new headshot. It's a good headshot, Renard. It's
Thank
really
you.
good.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, and I think you called out kudos to the photographer who took it, but it's just like you're really invested, you're really taking all of the coaching and the advice, not only from the coaches, but just from people in the program, and you're implementing it,
Yeah.
and so
I think you have to. I like the you're delving into I would tell anybody, you're delving into some stuff for a lot of people that are unknown. But
mm,
the stuff that we learn, our Iki guide, etc., it's
mhm,
like it's so much positivity. You have to use what you learn and see what happens. Step outside of your comfort zone a little bit and just see what happens. Like I always tell people, I like everything I've done that is uncomfortable has been great for me. Past few months is for me is humbling and it is a big blessing to the amount of stuff that has happened in the span of a couple of months. I'm like, I
yeah,
remember when I joined Vertical Motion and I just kept telling myself I need to trust the process. I need to trust the process, trust the process. Anytime I thought that I wasn't sure, I said, trust the process. I said, nothing moves fast. Nothing's going to be like you're in there for 2 weeks and bam, something all of a sudden. For some people, it does. Don't get me wrong. Some people get in, it does. But all of a sudden, just the things lined up, being on podcasts. Being on podcasts helped me get away from stage fright and being able to speak well and be confident. People at work noticed the difference of me being on so many podcasts and the way I speak in presentations and everything. It was like, man, you sound totally different than where they say we can hear the confidence when
Yeah.
you speak every time. It's like you're confident in what you're saying, and all of a sudden everyone just focuses in and listens to you. So that's
Yeah.
because of this program. It's because of so many podcasts I've been lucky enough to be on. I've improved in that way. So there's layers to improving to be ready for that next step. And I think, like I said, going through vertical motion and now seeing the fruit of the labor, it's been a very, very humbling.
It's a lot. I've just really kind of watched you blossom. There is part of me that feels like there was that talent just below the surface. There was that confidence just below the surface. And I think it was about, like you said, doing something that was uncomfortable and then building that muscle.
Hmm.
And that happened. It seems like it happened pretty quick for you. One of the things I think that people tend to do is that they want to come into a coaching program and they very much are looking for the coaching and they're not necessarily interested in say like yeah I'm not I'm sure the community's great I just really want the coaching. Do you think that your progress would have been as fast had you not engaged with the other vertical motion members?
I don't think so. I'll be honest. I don't think so. I think if it was just the coaching, which I will say the coaching is great. The
Mm,
coaching is phenomenal. So I'm not going to take anything away from
mm,
the coaching that we get.
yeah.
But I think anybody who gets involved into a program like this, you need to take every bit of advantage of it. And that means the coaching plus the people in the community. Get to know the community, get to know the people in the community, because you'll find out that a lot of you have a lot of things in common. Me starting a podcast.
Mm.
My other host is a person who's already in the program. That more than likely we would have never met
You'd
if
have
we
never met.
weren't in this program. So
Right.
the things that happen for a reason. I always say there's steps you have to go along in your journey. This is
Mhm.
another part of that.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I just took to the lessons that we learned and never said, let me talk to some people in the community, let me be on more than just the Tuesday night call and see what happens, then I don't think I would have gotten where I am now. I don't think that would have
Yeah.
been possible. I think anybody who gets in it, you need to say, hey, I'm going to take every advantage of it as I possibly can. I'm going to get to meet new people, grow my network, and also build some great relationships. I have some
I know.
great friends from our
Right?
program.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, you have to think about it. I like the way that you think about it, and I like the way that you've engaged. But the other way to think about it too is there is so much power in being around other like-minded people, other people that are interested in getting to the next level, other people that are coachable,
Mhm.
right? They're like, look, clearly there is something that I don't know, so let's plug in and find out what that is.
Mm.
But there is tremendous power in being in a group of people that are all seekers and strivers and learners. So I'm glad that you've had that experience. So surrounding yourself personally and professionally with people that are headed in the right direction is very powerful. You don't have to do this alone. You don't have to do this in a silo. You don't have to do this in your own mind
No.
by yourself. So how has, I think you have talked to how all of this has pushed you forward. I feel like you have accomplished so much in such a short period of time. I almost feel like you were really ready to launch and you just like needed one little bit more encouragement and affirmation and coaching and shortcutting. Just do this. Like, right? I feel like you were right there, just ready to go.
No, I appreciate that. I think sometimes you do need the coaching in order to get the best out of you. For me, that's what I think I need. I need someone to do a little more pushing in order for me to understand where I need to be. And even going in my career, I didn't know I wanted to be in the C-suite at first. I didn't,
Mhm.
I was just trying to just be happy and like, okay, hey, I'm good where I am. But something told me that I want to keep moving on in my career and keep getting to the highest level of my career. So this had to be that step in order for me to do that.
Yeah.
What was it in me? I would probably say yes, but I needed this coaching in order to bring that out of me.
Yeah.
I didn't know I wanted to be on podcasts until I got on the podcast. I didn't know I wanted to do a podcast until me and Amir had a conversation. I was like, man, you know what? Let's have a conversation to talk about it. So I think everybody needs to just continue to have an open mind. When you get into something like this, have an open mind. Be coachable, like you just said earlier. Be
Yeah.
coachable and continue to just, be a student. I always talk
Yeah.
about being a student. I talk about
Yeah.
that in jujitsu. We said earlier, continue to
Right.
be a student. You will always get a chance to be at your best. I commend for Tom creating this, for you, Sandra, Jackie. Like I said, the list goes on. We got so many people in there, it
Right.
would take forever for me to give everybody kudos,
Yeah.
but it's something that I think other people need to think about. I didn't
Mm.
know I needed a coach until I got one.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so, one of the things that we ask people to do, and we explain the why, is your professional presence, your brand on LinkedIn, and starting to post and starting to share about your industry, about your thoughts on leadership. You have a lot of thoughts on leadership. I would like to talk to me about, why do you think leadership, and even personally and professional, like, why is leadership so important?
I think in general, you want to have great leaders. When whatever the industry is, etc., you want great leaders that inspire you, that you can understand that, hey, what it takes to get to the next level, but also what it takes in order to continue to motivate a company.
Mm,
So, being a thought leader, understanding the industry made me start posting. I'll be honest, I probably did not post as much as I do now. Now I do post a lot.
yeah,
Once I got into vertical motion, before, I posted every so often,
yeah.
maybe a new book here and there, but
Mm,
never to the point where it made me start thinking about expressing myself in articles and posts, etc. Because I had a little thought. I was like, why would anybody care what I think? I'll be honest. That's how I thought. Like, why would I post? Because who would really care about what I thought? And I did one turned into who knows how many now. And now, I'm posting every single week, but I had that imposter syndrome of, why would anybody care if I post something?
mm,
And I think leadership is an uncomfortable space for a lot of people. Probably it was for me when I started. And now I understand that I want to continue to pay it forward, and leadership is where I am to continue to pay it forward. I want to create other leaders. I
mm.
want to
Wow.
continue to create other leaders. When I retire, if I go to another company, when it's
Yeah,
all said and done, I want to sit back and say, man, look at all these other people who are great leaders at these other companies that
yeah,
I had a small part in their journey in order to build them and create other leaders. I just want to continue to pay it forward. That is my main goal in leadership, is to continue to pay it forward. Yes, it is to be an executive and mitigate risk and increase growth of a company, yes. But the unwritten rule that is not in the job description is to pay it forward and create other leaders. And that's what I want to continue to do.
yeah, and I will say that that mindset will greenlight anyone into this program. It's that type of mindset, it's that type of person, because that's what we're trying to do at the end of the day, is trying to roll out those types of leaders into corporate America, and I know that this plays out in people's personal lives, their families. You have a mentor spirit about you, and it comes out in the post that you think nobody wanted to hear. You have a lot of wisdom to share.
Mm.
And so for me to know that you are out there spreading this type of message and this type of energy and this type of experience that other people have with you and intention is inspiring. So, yeah, it's really great to watch. It makes me happy. It makes me really happy, Renard.
It makes
So,
me happy to hear you say that.
yeah.
It's very humbling for me when I sit on the calls, or someone tells me that they like my post or I inspire them. It's humbling from a kid from New Orleans who was very quiet, and it took a lot to bring me out. The person I am now, it took a lot for that.
Yeah.
And to see that anytime I'm humbled, I am never big head about it, very humbled, feel very blessed that a lot of things that are happening, that it's all because of this part of my journey, and
Yeah.
I just want to continue giving back. Mentorship is big for me as
Yeah.
well. Just, paying it forward, that's part of mentorship. And
Mhm.
I was lucky enough to have many mentors along the way. And you, Sandra, Jackie, Tom, etc., all mentors for me to continue to push and get better. And I appreciate that.
No, you are welcome. We are on your side, my friend. Okay, so I wanted to share this with you. It's kind of, I like to ask around because I know that you have talked to Jackie a lot and Tom for sure. But a couple of great things people have said. You've got the confidence to put yourself out there to high level folks. You're doing amazing on all of these podcasts that people are asking you to be on. Great communicator, effective communicator, someone who has come to the calls, done the work, and shown up for himself. So you have a great reputation here. I'm sure other places, but people see it. And I think maybe the last thing I'll ask, I feel like you're a part of multiple communities. You're a part of your jujitsu community, other leadership communities. Why are communities important to you?
I think you need that. I think for me, community has always been something I've already gravitated to, especially coming from a big household and not saying I had a bunch of brothers and sisters. I was the only child, but I always had my grandmother, I had my grandfather, my uncle, etc. I always had family around me. So community has always been big for me. When I played football, that was another community. And jujitsu is the same way that even though I train, I get to meet so many different people. So community, I think, is big. Community is, I always tell people, I was like, if you want to get better, you need to play with people who are better than you
Oh,
in order for
100%.
you to get to that level. And I've been lucky to been able to train with people who were better than me in order to get better. Same thing when it comes to in the corporate world. If I want to excel to the executive suite and board seats, etc. I need to learn from people who are already there and that are great leaders themselves in order for me to improve. So community is big. Vertical Motion, all the other communities I'm part of are big that help me understand where I am and where I need to be in order to
Mm,
be at that level. So I think community is big just in general. I'm a
yeah.
big person who loves to be around family, always like to spend time. I always talk to my fiance. I always want our house to be the house when we have grandkids and great grandkids, they all come over.
Oh, that's
Everybody
awesome.
comes over. So family's big to me. So I think you need that in a community, especially when you're trying to excel in the corporate world. You need the community. You need to be around other people who understand where you've been and where you're
Yes.
trying to go.
Yes, yes, that is so, so true. Those people that are committed to growing you.
Mhm.
And then it's reciprocal, right?
Yeah.
You're also contributing a lot. You've contributed a lot to the vertical motion community. One last thing, actually, I thought about. I heard you talk about your philosophy, like managing or manager to leader.
Mhm.
Talk to me a little bit about that.
So I always tell people there's a difference between management and leadership. They're always
Mm,
two different things. They're never the same thing. A
mm,
manager is what the title says. You are basically keeping the lights on. That's what you're
mm,
mostly doing at a manager level. At a leadership level, you're thinking more about the business, not about the department. For me, that was something that had to switch for me. I needed to start thinking more like the business. And the funny thing is, I just finished talking to my team probably a week ago about the difference between that. I said, every change that we make does not just affect the person, it affects the business. I said,
mm,
if the CEO has a problem, that doesn't just affect him, it affects the entire business because the business can't operate if he can't do his job. I said,
right.
so we need to take a different view of how, when issues happen, how we need to resolve that. You need to look at it if we were on a ship and something happened, all of a sudden the ship stops working. We got to make sure the ship runs. We're not making sure the captain can steer the ship. We're making sure this piece runs so he can do his job.
Mm,
So that changes in leadership. Your leadership, you're looking also for other leaders. You're also a recruiter in a sense. You're looking for the next person up when it's your
mm,
time to go.
yeah,
Eventually, you're going to retire. Eventually, you're going to go to another company. Most people don't stay at a company 10, 20, 30 years anymore. Usually, it's between probably 5 to 7 nowadays,
right.
especially at the executive level. No one stays forever. So you need to look for the next person who's going to step up when you're gone. But you also have to have the mentality that when you're gone, the ship will keep running regardless if you're there or not.
Yeah.
That's a leader. A leader
Mm,
is the person who is not just thinking about themselves, but also ready to pay it forward and push for the next person to be up. I want to see people be great
yeah.
because someone took their time and gets me a little emotional. Someone took
Mm,
their time and taught
yeah.
me when I was early in my career.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I want to continue to do that with everybody else.
I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh. That is the spirit. That
Mm,
is the spirit in which vertical motion moves.
mm,
We want to see that too. Renard, you're a leader.
thank you.
You are a leader. And thank you so much for talking to me today and taking the time. Your thoughts, your feedback are very important. We're really happy that you've had the experience that you've had. And I would say, even more so, we're really thankful for your contributions to the other members and to the community. It has been impactful.
Thank you, thank you. I will definitely say, no matter after I'm out, program's over, I've done my part, y'all will always have a fan out of me. I will always recommend Vertical Motion
Thank
wherever
you.
I go because what y'all have done for me has been 10 times fold, and I want to see other people get the same experience I've got.
Oh, thank you so much. And even after you're done, we're all still going to be connected. So don't you worry.
That's right.
All right. Thank you, Renard.
Thank y'all.